So when Horace Mann brought this report back to the mandates of education, he brought it back with the intention of trying to change the way school was seen, not just by the sort of state education system of the time, but also by the community. And what he intended to do was sort of think about the current social and political climate of the time, and think about the ways in which school would be the perfect institution to best address some of the corruption that was being seen in the inner cities. But also in seeing how in benefiting the individual, one benefited society. Really harkening back on the sort of debate that was going on during the early part of the Enlightenment, in which Thomas Jefferson and other folks within government were sort of really, you know, are in conflict about whether education should be a private affair, or whether the state should have more influence on mandating people to attend school, and even in thinking about what that education would look like. And so we're thinking about how school, during the Common School movement, these changes within school really coalesced around this idea that one would be made available for everybody. Of course, it's quotes around that. We'll talk about that. I'll mention something about that in a moment. But two, it would also have a particular purpose that was consistent with other nationalizing trends at the time. So that school was to be seen as a socializing agent for the immigrating folks who were coming over and who had children. We're thinking about these common schools were schools that were not attended by the upper and elite class. Again, their education was still sort of much more private, much more individualized, and in many cases happening abroad. The common school, during the common school movement, would become an important piece to sort of addressing issues seen within the social and political climate, but would also, supposed to strike the interest of the individual who was interested in social mobility as well, who was interested in attaining more social and cultural capital, so that they might sort of better live in flourishing ways within this new cultural context called the United States of America. And so there's three things that become really important in thinking about school and what would happen with school as an institution during the Common School movement. And that's one, in order for it to become available to everyone so that it could become this great equalizer, it would have to be free or made public. But we all know that nothing is free, right? Because teachers still gotta get paid, because resources still cost money. And so very much connected to this idea that schools would be free is that they will be free because they would be paid by the money would come from property taxes. Very, very, very important, because that's the idea that school becomes free because of public money via property taxes is, or rather was, a decision that had a historical trajectory until today. Currently, schools, public schools, are still receive much of their funding from the property taxes that they receive from their given area. What's important to note about that, sort of less for then, but more so for now, is to think about the importance of real estate in considering the amount of money that a particular school receives from the property taxes. Because clearly, if you go to a school which has high property taxes because the surrounding area has high real estate value, then obviously you're going to get more money in that school.